Systemic government corruption existed before Botler. Systemic government corruption tried to manifest itself through Botler, but now, because of Botler, systemic government corruption will be annihilated.
That is Ritika Dutt, the co-founder of a company called Botler AI. She and her partner raised questions about the government's contracting process, going to the CBSA after noticing issues with a number of companies involved in their project. The very companies, in fact, at the heart of the ArriveCAN controversy: GC Strategies, Cortex, and Dalian. Now, the RCMP is investigating. And I am joined now by Botler co-founders Ritika Dutt and Amir Morv. Hello to both of you. Thank you for making the time.
Hi, Ashley. Thanks for having us.
I appreciate it. Ritika, I'll start with you. In the most basic of terms, what were you contracted by the government to do?
So Botler, our company, is an artificial intelligence tool that helps individuals who are dealing with workplace misconduct understand themselves in the context of the law and pursue their rights. And this is the solution that the government wanted to implement for all of the public service.
Okay, and so when you were first contracted, Amir, was the idea that the government and the CBSA, the Canada Border Services Agency, wanted to use this product and this service that you have developed at the CBSA?
Yes, so we were supposed to start within the CBSA with a pilot project for our tool in a way that employees within the CBSA can access this tool and basically learn about the policies and laws within the CBSA. And then depending on how well the pilot goes, we were supposed to roll it out within the Government of Canada.
And so was your contract, just to follow up quickly with you, Amir, was your contract with CBSA? Was it with the government?
So CBSA didn't directly reach out to us. They reached out to us through a contractor by the name of GC Strategies. So we were told that the first initial pilot will be with the GC Strategies, and then we will have our own contract for the bigger implementation of the software for the Government of Canada.
So when did your kind of spidey senses, Ritika, start tingling?
Well, right away. So because we were already working on our own project with the Department of Justice and we had an experience of how things were being done on that side with justice, we saw right away that things were being done very differently. But at that point, I was, like you said, spidey senses. We didn't have something concrete. But I think the really concrete moment for us was when we received an email from GC Strategies showing us a document that had been executed between Dalian, a company we'd never even heard of, and GC Strategies to implement our Botler solution. And Botler wasn't even named on it. It was just myself and Amir that had been named personally as consultants. And at that point, it was just red flags going off all over the place.
So basically what happened was you were subcontracted through a contractor, being GC Strategies, Amir. But then there's two other firms, which, by the way, for everyone watching, are the same two firms that are involved in the ArriveCAN controversy, who are also named in all of this. Is that right?
So it's a little complicated. So the contract, the way that it was executed, was a contract between the CBSA and Dalian and Cortex. And then they subcontracted the work to GC Strategies, who then subcontracted the work to us personally and not our company. So we didn't know about Dalian. We didn't know that there's a company exists by the name of Dalian, and we didn't know that Cortex was involved in any of these.
So what did you do, Ritika, when those spidey senses went off and you both realized something is weird with this?
Well, from the very beginning, our job is misconduct detection. So when we started seeing things, even though we couldn't really place it, we started recording all of our interactions, kind of documenting everything in a methodical way so that we'd have that information to go back to. And then at that point, when we saw how the contract had been executed between GC Strategies and Dalian, we were already directly involved with the CBSA, so we figured at this point, we trust the CBSA, let's go talk to the CBSA and kind of hash things out directly with them. And that's kind of where we took off.
And how did that go, Amir?
So at the beginning, we didn't have any visibility on how the contract was executed. It was completely hidden from us. And we had problems with the invoicing with these two different layers between us and the CBSA, and we asked the CBSA employees to take a look into the contracting and give us some feedback, which they did, and they were the first people who told us that, look, legally speaking, there are some issues here with the way that the contract has been executed, and they raised some red flags, and we decided to put together a proper and formal misconduct report and send it directly to the executive director within the CBSA who was in charge of this and who was also involved in ArriveCAN.
Right, and has suffered some consequences right now because of that, right?
Since, well, I don't know if it was because of that or not,
Or
but
ArriveCAN,
but yes, that's correct.
And so once you submitted that misconduct report, which essentially laid out all the things you have recounted to us, what happened after that? What was the reaction, Ritika?
Well, right away after the first misconduct report, we were told by the CBSA that, okay, we're going to work with you and we can fix the contract, and a brand new contract literally was an option. And then we never heard back from them regarding the contract. So a couple months later, we were still facing misconduct, and I submitted a second report. And in direct response to that second report, directly in response to that, we were terminated. We faced immediate reprisal. The contract was canceled. We had done all the work, but we weren't paid for the work that we did. So it was an immediate, kind of shut down for coming forward with that misconduct.
And what did you do after that, Amir?
So after that, we had a few other interactions with the CBSA, and to our surprise, CBSA requested us to hand over all of our evidence to the contractors, which was a huge red flag for us, and we didn't do.
The contractors being GC and Dalian and Coradix?
So the CBSA asked us to hand over the evidence to Coradix, and then GC Strategies contacted us and told us that, oh, I learned that the CBSA is asking you to hand over all the evidence to GC Strategies, and then GC Strategies will hand over the evidence to Coradix, and then Coradix will hand over the evidence to the CBSA. Which we said, no, we will not do that.
Right.
So we started our own investigation into the matter. We started submitting access to information requests, and we found bigger problems, way bigger problems, I have to say, including unfortunately forged experiences for Ritika. And we put together a proper report with all of our findings and sent it directly to the president of the CBSA.
When Amir references forged, it's basically you got your hands on the contracts, which you really had not been able to see. Is that accurate? And they had not completely accurate information in them, or even really, really inaccurate information.
Well, we got through different access to information requests. We got bits and pieces. They were redacted, but from what we could see, for example, is that a copy of my resume had been submitted in support of executing this contract, and it was fraudulent. So I had done a 2-month summer internship at Deloitte when I was 20, and that had been inflated to a 53-month work experience, as well as all my other work experience that had been inflated. We later found out, almost like a year and a half after, that when we received Amir's resume, there was a whole new invented company that was used for his work experience. We saw that the way that the contract was executed used resources that we weren't even aware of at the time before the contract had been implemented, so there were just red flags going off everywhere.
So the RCMP is investigating. What does that tell you, Amir?
Well, RCMP has a very high bar for their investigation. They investigate criminal activities, and it's a very good sign, I have to say, that RCMP is investigating this, because I mean the issues that we raise are very serious, and it's good.
You're a taxpayer as well. Do you have any confidence that the contracting processes currently in place provide value for taxpayer money?
Absolutely not. I mean, I think this is the reason why we were people who were outsourced. We were just the average taxpayer that was coming into the situation where we were seeing there's such an egregious violation in the way that the tax dollars are just being expended, and nobody's really looking into, like, are we doing the right thing? Is this being expended the correct way? And that's really, I think, the main impetus behind us coming forward, is that this is something that everybody needs to know about.
Do you think there needs to be some sort of political intervention at this point? Amir, final question to you. And I don't say that in like a way that they should be involved in things that are supposed to be outside the scope of government, but ministers have repeatedly told us that they were not informed, for example, of the contracting issues with ArriveCAN, but they also have not been able to say that they asked during the process. Do you think they need to play a more active role in figuring out if we are getting value for our money in these contracts?
Well, absolutely. I think we recently learned that, for example, PSPC officials didn't brief the ministers on ArriveCAN, for example, in last summer. But I think now everybody knows about this. I think all ministers have been briefed. I think this is a very good opportunity for the ministers to intervene, to look at this system and perform a thorough reform of these systems.
Thank you very much, both of you, for making the time for the conversation. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.